Hello everyone and welcome to On Tour. It's the cricket program where we look back at the West Indies tour of New Zealand. It was day 2 of the first test in Hamilton. You remember the West Indies lost that T20 series 2-0, but let me tell you, it rained runs in Hamilton on day 2. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Welcome again. It's been a fantastic day for New Zealand, and let's see how the West Indies are going to start on day 3. They are 49 without loss after a mammoth total. 519 for 7 declared by the Kiwis. As we look at that scorecard, one name stands out. Kane Williamson, 251. Kylie Jamieson making 51. Ross Taylor, 38. But let me tell you, it was an innings to remember for Kane Williamson, his highest ever score in Test cricket. With me, I've got Philo Wallace, the former Barbados and West Indies opening batsman. And we have, of course, Tino Best, who is the former Barbados and West Indies opening bowler. And Vinode Mamchan doesn't have that big acclaim to fame as a cricketer on the field, but let me tell you, he's one of the best correspondents in world cricket. Vinode, thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. Let's first of all have a brief summary of the second day's play. Tino, if you had to look back at the day, the West Indies didn't bowl too well, but you have to give credit to how Williamson batted.
Yeah, he batted marvelously. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't. And he's a fantastic cricketer.
I don't know if Philip wants to have that same paradigm shift, but what do you think, Philip?
That was a good day for New Zealand cricket. Barry, you've got to remember that this is the first test match that these guys have played for a very long time. And you have to commend Kane Williamson on a fantastic innings in his first test match back.
And Vinod, you look at the fact that Hamilton is known for big scores, so it's no surprise really to see the Kiwis getting 500 and perhaps the West Indies might match that, who knows. But Hamilton is known for these big scores, so that was not the big surprise of the day.
Definitely not, Barry. And, by the end of the day's play, the way the West Indies responded, it showed that this pitch is full of runs.
So let's dig in then. Let's dig into this 251. His first priority would have been to get 3 figures, to get his 22nd Test century, Kane Williamson. He started on just 97, and the New Zealanders were 243 for just 2. But things did not go the way for New Zealand from the beginning. Shannon Gabriel was able to get an early wicket, and just what the doctor ordered for the West Indies, that early wicket of Ross Taylor.
Yeah, for sure. Ross Taylor has 10 hundreds at this venue, Barry. So really and truly, to get his wicket early was tremendous for West Indies. I thought they could have made more inroads there and then. But to be fair, Barry, I thought they bowled a lot better than they did the first day. So, but the game was ahead of them already. It was 250 odd for only 2, so it was going to be hard work. And me myself being a former fast bowler, coming to a game second day with a team already 250 odd, only 2 people out, it's going to be hard work. But I thought they stick to their task good today. I don't think that it was an embarrassing performance whatsoever.
As we talk about Kane Williamson, Philo, I want you to break down this 251 for me. He played a lot of shots around the ground, but the key and the foundation to this innings was his patience.
Yeah, his key foundation was his patience, Barry, as well in the way how he paced the innings. I mean, look at 251. He faced 412 balls. He hit 34 fours and only 2 sixes. So obviously he settled that he will look to bat for a very long time. I mean, you look at the balance of his position when he gets in to play any shot, even to defend, I thought was very commendable. And again, this whole approach to playing the ball very, very late seems to work for him. And he's a good craftsman of his trade. He's a fantastic batsman. He's leading that New Zealand team from the front. And obviously, Kane Williamson has his mindset on what he wants to do. And he forces the bowlers, Barry, to bowl where he wants to score. And he can score all around the park. And you also saw a few T20 shots coming in, like slog sweeps and stuff like that. Yes. So you can see that he's not only thinking test match batting, he has that T20 element that can sometimes work in test match cricket once you have the balance and pick the right balls to play the shots.
Vinod, you're the stats man. Let's talk numbers. His 3rd Test double century. So he's accustomed, like I said, to scoring doubles. Did the mere fact that he went on to get 251, did that surprise you?
Definitely not. It was a masterclass in building an innings. Early on the opening day with a lot more assistance for the West Indies fast bowlers. He was playing late, as Philo said. He was playing with soft hands as well. And as the innings progressed, we saw what he did. Today he was able to slog sweep Kemar Roach for 6. And I thought that initially he would have just went out there to survive. But as time went on, he got into his groove and was able to play a wonderful innings. I thought that had he not gotten out at that point in time, who knows, he might have gone on to a triple century.
Well, the thing about it is that there was some heartache for him. I'm talking about Kemar Roach, because Kemar actually thought he had him. He was out caught, only to see the outstretched hand that saying it was a no ball. How was that? Did you find that was a critical stage, or by that stage of the match, things went well in New Zealand's plate?
Yeah, I mean, things were well in New Zealand. They were well in the driver's seat. Wilkinson have already paced the innings, and they knew what they wanted to do. So I think that was more of a personal game for Kemar. I would have felt better if he got him out on the first day.
For less than 100.
For less than 100.
No, agreed. So he paced himself quite well to 150. Then the tremendous double century, seeing him raise his bat and seeing the enthusiasm. But then no one perhaps expected him to even get 250, which was really the final nail in the West Indies coffin. It was a pretty tough morning for them, because they also received the news that Shane Dowrich, their main keeper, had a hand injury, and he actually was replaced by someone that has not really kept wicket for the West Indies, even Barbados. I'm talking about Shamar Brooks. How much of a surprise was that to see Shamar Brooks behind the stumps?
Well, usually when I was playing, Jonathan Carter will more do those duties, not Shamar. But he did a fantastic job, I must say. He got a dismissal as well. So well done, Frisky, as we call him. He looks good. I mean, he should really take it serious, man.
Yeah, I think Marriage Life looks good on it. Philo, you know this man, Shamar Brooks, very well. In fact, when he made his debut, I think you might have been captain. He's been playing for a while now. But had you ever known Shamar Brooks to have wicket-keeping ability?
Yeah, he has wicket-keeping ability, Barry, and he showed us that in this test match so far. But I think that Shamar Brooks is a cricketer. And if you look at it, the way he kept wicket today, his feet were moving, his hand and eyes were going in the same direction as well. And his glove work looks really good. If you look at it, he reverse cuffed the ball, and he held on to a dismissal. So I think that that's another area in which Shamar Brooks can develop. We know he was a leg spin, and he dropped that to concentrate on his batting. I know he has the ability, I know he has the foresight to balance now keeping and also batting. I think is an aid to his cricket, and I wish him all the very best. I think he should take his hats off and say, well done, Shamar, and it's something that you should maybe consider seriously going down the road for the rest of your career.
All right, you're watching On Tour. When we come back, we're going to look at Kylie Jamieson. How important was that 50 from him for the Kiwis? You're watching On Tour on Flow Sports.
It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hands. It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up.
Welcome back to On Tour. So the West Indies, of course, resuming on 49 without loss. The Kiwis making a mammoth 519 for 7 declared. I'm Barry Wilkinson again. Thanks so much for joining us on our program. We're going to be going, of course, to the live stuff in just a moment. But you look at the fact that Kylie Jamieson, when Kylie Jamieson came out to bat, it could have been still a situation where, they could have gone less than 450 correction. But his innings of 51 was a very critical one, because it really supported how we saw the batting expressed from none other than Kane Williamson. Jamieson, how good is he as an all-rounder?
Yeah, I totally liked him. He looked sharper than he did against India. So he's went in the gym, he's got stronger, and he looks a good cricketer. And to be honest, he is a good find for New Zealand. And New Zealand always used to produce those little dibbly-dobblers. Not anymore. They got some people with some pace. I think they're a real good competitive unit. They're really molding into.
And Philo, you've always sung the praises that the New Zealand cricketers, or most of them, all have batting ability. And when you see someone like Jamieson coming in so low down the order and being able to get his way to 50, it tells you that you're playing against a team that have batsmen that all the way down to number 11, because even Wagner can swing it.
Yeah, when you look at the New Zealand setup, Barry, there's a guy called Lucky Ferguson who cannot get into this test squad. We saw him in the T20s,
yes,
more than 150 kilometers per hour. And it's because of Jamieson, and he showed the reason why he's in the New Zealand test squad. He a handy 51 with the captain, and it's still ticklish position New Zealand were in. And I thought that he came at trumps. He played well. He picked the right balls to stroke to the boundary, hit 2 sixes. as well as 5 fours in that half century. So well played to the young man. And it just goes to show the depth of New Zealand cricket and also the depth of their batting. So it's a good sign and good signs for New Zealand as well to see that they continue to emerge. We have to remember that New Zealand, I think, are ranked number 2 in Test match cricket. So they have a lot, going for them.
No, Vinode, you were presenting some stats to us earlier. We know that Kemar Roach recently got to 200, his 200th Test wicket. When you look at how he delivered yesterday, 3 for 114, was that a true representation, in your opinion, from a stats man, as to how he bowled? Is that a reflection of how he bowled?
And definitely not. Firstly, I must say that Kemar was really excellent on the D2. He really bowled well. The luck, of course, was not with him. But Kemar he continues to lead this attack, and he really found his rhythm. He was really running in nicely. And from the time that happened this morning, early on, when I was looking on, and I saw that, I said, this was going to be a man who could get a serious breakthrough for the West Indies, get critical wickets, and that he did. And, today as well, he went past with one of those wickets.
Shannon Gabriel, the best bowler in terms of wickets, 3 for 89. Philo, Shannon Gabriel continues to improve. Once he's fully fit, he could be a handful.
Yeah, well, Shannon obviously is continuing from where he left off in England. He only has 2 Test matches in New Zealand, so I expect him to play both Test matches and bowl well. But he continues to do well. You can see him looking a lot more positive. He's stronger. He bowls the balls in the areas more often. Now there are only a couple of balls that went down the leg side because his body went away from his hand. So you got to remember that Shannon Gabriel, he's been there for a long time. Gabriel-Roach combination has been doing the business for West Indies. But Barry, another thing too that will obviously disappoint the bowlers is that they weren't able to take 10 wickets, those 10 New Zealand wickets. Yeah. So New Zealand obviously scored 519 for 7, and that will be a bugbear for the West Indies bowlers.
On a pitch like this, Tino, and you've played at Hamilton before, where did the West Indies bowlers go wrong? Was it the line and length? Was it what happened that they were not able to penetrate and get the wickets?
Day one, they didn't bowl enough deliveries to challenge the off stump or look to hit the stumps. I felt that Jason, being the captain, should at least tell his bowlers to take a drive, bring the field a lot straighter. I just felt they bowled back 11 too much, and the guys just left too many balls. So I felt that's where they fell down. And they did not challenge the batsman technique enough, making them hit enough balls or play enough balls straight down the ground.
And you were very sweet early on of course, Alzari Joseph, but he perhaps bowled too short, and that proves to be something that the Kiwis loved.
Yeah, I mean, from England, I thought that a guy like Roddy yesterday, who I got a lot of trust in, a lot of faith in terms of being a fast bowling coach, I thought that Roddy would have got into his head and just try to make sure that he bowl a lot fuller. That wasn't the case today, and something that he has to go back. I mean, the coach can tell the bowlers, this is what we want you to bowl. It's up to the bowler to follow the game plan. And he didn't bowl well, and I got a lot of faith in him. I just hope that he can take a leaf out of Shannon book or Kemar book and just continue to improve, because he's young, and one day he has to lead this attack. He has to know if he wants to play Test cricket or not. That's the honest truth.
All right, you're watching On Tour. When we come back, 49 without loss. How did the West Indies get there? We'll show you.
The toughest time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hands. The toughest time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up.
Welcome back to On Tour then. 519 for 7 declared, made by the Kiwis, and the West Indies going into day 3 on 49 without loss. Craig Rafford and John Campbell came out. A nervous start as usual, because to tell the truth, these two have not done collectively well. John Campbell still searching for his first ever half century at this level after making his debut since last year against England. And Craig Rafford, his last 18 months have been quite shaky, even though he comes into this test match with 246, which was made in the first class game for the 18. But everybody will tell you that when you're playing an 18 game and a test game, those runs are dead. They mean nothing.
Yeah, I thought they negotiated it really well today, to be honest, Barry. To be 49, they get a partner without loss on that green surface. I honestly believe, you can see with your eyes, it's starting to get that green tinges going. I mean, the sun is starting to bake the pitch, and it's not a quick surface. So the key for West Indies is to just leave some balls, plainly V, get those singles going. And I thought that Brathwaite and Campbell rotated the strike beautifully today.
I'm glad Tino made that point, Philo, because it seemed to me like a plan to rotate the strike more rather than try to be too aggressive, although Campbell did play some nice shots.
Yeah, when you look at it, Barry, the left-hand, right-hand combination is an advantage. And I think the advantage is rotating the strike, getting the bowlers not to bowl too many deliveries at one batsman. And today, they really look good. What I thought I was impressed with is the way they left the ball. They left a lot of balls on length, particularly Campbell, who obviously seemed now to be trying hard not to play those big rash shots. But 49 without loss, Barry, they still have a long way to go. And it's a good start. But they need to obviously dig deeper and look to stretch this 49 to maybe over 100 and maybe get to 150 without loss. But it's going to be a tall order because the New Zealanders are going to come hard at them.
I think I'm asking the right man in you, Philo, as a former opening batsman. Tell me if you had to break down the strengths of Craig Brathwaite and the strengths of John Campbell as opening batsmen.
Well, Craig Brathwaite's strength is his ability to bat long, and he can rotate the strike. I know he's very leg-sided, but what I thought today, he looked good in that he moved his feet. His feet are moving. He's getting behind the ball a lot more. John Campbell, you still have that thing that he stays side on to the ball. So the balls that would nip back into John Campbell as a left-hander would give him trouble. So they both complement each other, but their strengths and their weaknesses, they need to obviously shoulder a bit more responsibility for it. But when you look at the combination, it can work. And I think one of the beauties today is the running between the wickets. We call it in Barbados, tip me too. Try to get off the strike. Don't want to face too many balls. And I thought that today both openers show that they have the ability to bat long. And I hope that they can continue to do it because it's going to be important for this first test match.
Vinod, can the West Indies save this follow-on? They're 470 runs behind.
So far, they've started well. It's an uphill task. But the two young men who batted early exchanges, Craig Brathwaite and John Campbell, they really complement each other well. If they can get some sort of partnership going again tomorrow, they need to start back. As soon as play starts in a couple of minutes' time, they need to really get back in there and continue doing what they did today, which was rotate the strike. You have Craig Brathwaite, who has a great pause of concentration, and then you have John Campbell, who has a lot of positivity about him in the way he bats. He's going to take the attack to the Kiwis, and at the other end, you have Craig Brathwaite, who is very solid. So I think it's a good combination. If we do save the follow-on, it may well depend on how long these two stay together.
Where do you expect Wagner, where do you expect Jamieson to be putting the ball? Because I'm sure that they'll probably start on day 3. Where do you expect them to be putting the ball, Tino?
Well, Jamieson is, because of his height, he's going to bowl a full length. I think that Wagner is going to be the aggressor, even though the surface isn't conducive for sharp, quick bowling. His aggression. I remember something that Henderson Springer always said, when you're playing on slow pitches, just give a guy a bouncer. Just try to bowl a bouncer. Try to get his feet tangled up a bit. So I honestly believe that West Indies batsmen have to be so sharp in their thinking when it comes to playing or executing shots.
And Philo, final word from you. Do you have confidence in this West Indies batting? Darren Bravo had an injury. He had a tendon injury on day 2. Hopefully he'll be available to bat if needed today. But do you have confidence in this West Indies batting to save the follow-on and he'll go very close to 500?
Well, I said earlier that we're going to lose the series 2-0. Obviously, 49 without loss is a good start. But obviously, the batsmen need to come and show what they're made of. We saw what New Zealand has done, in particular Kate Williamson. It's called for application, calls for batting for long periods of time. And when you look at Darren Bravo, Shamar Brooks, Roston Chase, Jason Holder, Jermaine Blackwood, and Shane Dowries, although he's carrying injury, a lot is going to depend on how well the 2 openers can continue from the solid foundation that they've built so far. So there's still a lot of work left to be done for the batsmen in this test match. So saving a follow-on is not going to be an easy task at all. The New Zealanders are going to reassess how they started, and they're going to come a little sharper on day 3.
Do you think this West Indies team has balance? We've seen them pack the team before with a lot of batsmen. I think the captain is batting all the way down at number 8. Do you think the balance is right in this squad?
Yeah, well, they're picking for what they have. The lead selector, Roger Harper, is there, so he has first-hand knowledge, and he said that they're the best cricketers that are available for West Indies selection. And if they're the best cricketers available, Barry, they have to produce what we expect from them, which is consistent performances in this Test match. And I think when you look at the depth of our batting is long, but is it strong? With Jason batting as low as number 8, is it strong? That's something that is left to be seen. So we'll see if it is strong enough to fight back against New Zealand.
Is it long and strong, Vinod?
Yes, I think so. I think the batting is capable, but of course the odds are stacked heavily against them. History is also against them. But these young men, they have it all before them. You have two batsmen who are going to resume in a few minutes' time, and they have not, as you rightfully said, over the last 18 months, Craig hasn't been there really in and amongst the runs. Neither has John Campbell. He's yet to get a half century. But what better will they need? You have just to keep on batting, just bat and bat until the cows come home.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. Tino Best, of course, Vinode Mamchan, and Phil Wallace. Well, the West Indies, all they have to do is bat. Let's join the live action now in Hamilton.
It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up your